Driving. Depending on where you live, driving is pretty essential. You have to find a way to get to work
without relying on the bus arriving late.
You have to find a way to be able to visit friends and family who live miles and miles away.
Or kilometers.
Imagine you can't afford room and board in college. You have to be able to travel to said college. Even getting to the grocery store could require a car. I mean, just look at many rural areas. Yet, despite driving being essential for many, it's also hella dangerous. Doesn't matter if you're driving a car, a motorcycle, a van, a semi-truck, or not driving at all, you're always at risk. Okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to scare y'all. If you're careful, considerate, and smart enough not to drive drunk, you should be okay. You just have to be extra wary of those who are not the 3 things I mentioned. The reason I decided to introduce my video this way is because for the longest time, I was absolutely terrified of driving. Absolutely terrified. Even sitting behind the wheel gave me the shivers, and not in a
I'm kind of cold
way. And, well, even if I personally was more terrified than the average person, I feel like more people get anxiety when driving than is talked about. Especially because I've heard people talk about how scary driving is. In real life. You know, if you hear a group of grannies talk about driving, then it's serious. And not just one group of grannies, 2.
Ike, Cyro, you need to take a chill pill. You probably got over your fear of driving after a few months, which isn't even that bad.
Try 2 years. Or more like try never, but I made it manageable after 2 years. Also,
no drugs behind the wheel.
In the United States, specifically in the state of New York, you are allowed to drive with a passenger over 21 as long as you get a driver's permit at the age of 16. When I first got my permit, I was so excited to drive. It seemed so easy, so chill, so freaking cool. And then after I sat my butt down on that seat, everything just dawned on me.
I'm in control of a several-ton weapon. If I do something wrong, I risk my life, my passenger's life, a pedestrian's life, another driver's life.
It was probably my first time having to sit with the thought that if I mess up, there could be some very bad consequences. Not even with just lives, also just the fact that if I damaged the car, the costs could range from a few $100 to a few $1,000. I did not have that money at 16. I barely would have even been able to afford that now. And so, with all of those intimidating thoughts in mind, I already had a mindset of, this won't be so easy for me. And my mindset was correct. I had to drive on parking lots for a whole 2 years before I dared drive on the main roads. This was because of 2 reasons. First reason comes down to what I mentioned earlier. The risk can be pretty big. The second reason is because I was super scared of other drivers. I had this vision in my head that every driver behind me would end up judgmental as hell. And I'm not the type of person who wants to face road rage. Not only is my small stature not fit for that, but I'm also just not confrontational. When I was driving on parking lots, there would be drivers behind me, but it didn't feel as bad because I knew they wouldn't be behind me for too long. But I still felt nervous whenever I'd drive the speed limit and I'd see them kind of tailgate me a bit. Like, I swear, I wasn't trying to be a slowpoke. Be patient, just a little bit, please. Oh yeah, and with stop signs too. I may have taken a while at stop signs and not realized it. The amount of beeps I got was... Let's just say that if I earn $1 per beep, I'd receive enough for a nice takeout. Probably around 25 bucks or so. The takeout would definitely be very nice. After driving 2 years on parking lots, I will say that I developed some pretty good parking skills. I learned to be more cautious in general because I had to always be wary of those pulling out of their parking spots. I also developed some nice tight turn skills. So with all of that, I finally felt brave enough to face the main roads. And just to be clear, what I mean by main roads are roads that you typically drive on during your day-to-day life. I don't mean highways, and I don't mean side residential streets. Here are some examples. Driving on the main roads was a bit easier because I conditioned and mentally prepared myself for the past 2 years, so I wasn't too terrified.
But I was still quite nervous.
Anytime I approached an area I didn't recognize, I'd immediately panic and just try to find somewhere to park. Then I'd have my mom drive the rest of the way. And, well, I'm not too embarrassed about that because I'd rather not drive while not thinking clearly. In general, as long as nothing out of the blue happened, I was able to drive, alright. I naturally wasn't too good because 17 to 18-year-old drivers still need to get that experience. Know what I mean? Moving on several months, I was already 18 at this point. I was a bit embarrassed of lagging behind my peers. Most of them had licenses or will get licenses very soon. Meanwhile, there was me still getting used to driving on the main roads. When it came to driving to the usual places like restaurants, grocery stores, doctor's offices, any other kind of store you can think of, I was able to without much issues. It took me another couple of months for myself to be able to drive to more unknown places and dare to drive on highways. Oh my god, highways. So many people have told me that highways are just chill roads. You barely have to worry about anything. Wrong. With the speed you drive on highways, you have to worry about everything. You have to worry about merging traffic because some of those people
Don't pay enough attention.
You have to worry about making the correct exit, or else you could end up driving who knows where. You have to worry about any possible lane changes due to having to make an exit or due to road work. You have to worry about tailgaters who can't be bothered to go around. And if the weather is lower visibility will make driving much more difficult. I've probably had more stress on highways than on the main roads, if I'll be completely honest with y'all. If y'all share the opinion on highways being chill, please let me know your reasonings. I'm very curious. Another year passes. There were ups and downs. I've had days when I'd feel like I conquered the roads and nothing could ever stop me. And then I've had days when I'd feel like I'll never be able to drive again and the whole world hates me. The most important thing I did though was continue forward. I pushed through my anxiety of driving, and at this point I was becoming more confident. I was still wary of unknown places, but I'd be more calm and figure out a place to park if I'd need to stop and breathe. Whenever there were aggressive drivers behind or near me, I tried to ignore them the best I could because what could I do? I just drove normally and pretended in my head that everything was peachy. Anything out of the blue that would happen, I'd just try to come up with solutions on the spot and go with the flow.
Even though I hate going with the flow.
I was 19 and a few months old when I got my license. I passed my test on the first try, which made me feel so relieved. The teacher who graded me apparently was strict and failed many students. So that's why I was super proud of myself, and still am proud of myself. It took me so long to be able to comfortably drive, and now I'm able to drive alone too. If I told my 16-year-old self that I would be able to someday drive alone and with more ease, my 16-year-old self would have thought, she crazy. But yeah, like I said earlier in the video, I feel like more people have anxiety when driving than is talked about. Some people might not understand, which is alright. I'm glad that they didn't have to go through this. I just hope those who are facing anxiety when driving don't feel ashamed and alone in this. I know what it's like, and I'm sure there are others too. We can make a Driving is Scary club. And please, if it takes you longer to get a license, do not feel ashamed. I know that I'm not even a late case. There are those who get their licenses in their 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s. Do whatever you have to feel ready and safe on the roads. You do not want to be stuck driving while having a panic attack. Or worse. Now then, that's probably all I have to mention for this video. I do have a separate driving incident that I want to make a video on eventually. I don't know when eventually would come, but yeah. Next video will be a Chapter 2 reaction to the MSA story series, Con Sisters. Thank you for watching if you made it this far. If you liked what you saw, you can always click the thumbs up, subscribe, and share the video with someone. It makes me really happy to see people enjoying my content. I have a Twitch, it's Xyra Gamer. I stream various games about twice a week. I always have a schedule out every week as well. I post artworks and reels on Instagram from time to time. I have a music channel with some electronic instrumental songs, though I'm a pretty amateur song creator, so don't expect the best of the best. And with that, I can't wait to see you next time. Bye bye!